Most people who start writing their book never finish it because it turns out to be much more work than they thought. It's more daunting. It's so easy to get distracted. That's one of the many reasons why writing your first draft in 3 days, I believe, is so important, because it gives you that encouragement. I've got my first draft done, and you can go on to the next step. My guess is that you already know that writing a book is a great way to gain credibility. It is also a great way to get your impact out into the world. It's also an awesome way to gain some extra income and to be clear about your message for yourself and for others. I'm going to show you how to write a draft in 3 days. Write your first draft in 3 days. It's an incredible experience, and I think you'll love it. The problem most people have with writing a book is not understanding that it's important to write a book, but it's finishing that book. Most people who start writing never finish. And they might go on for years. I've known of people who have written their book for years and never finished, or they finally finished, they're not satisfied, they don't publish it. What I'm going to share with you today will help you write the first draft of your book in 3 days, and it will make the process so much faster and easier, and what I believe is it will add a huge amount of impact to your book. The best books that you can get your hands on are not written simply from someone's left brain. Yeah, they'll start with some great idea and have a lot of, there's a lot of left brain involved in good writing, but ultimately, when the author's soul is there in the book, apparent for everyone, not that they know this is the author's soul, but they're thinking, wow, this is such a great book. That is where the magic happens, and that is the best part, I believe, about writing, is it's the ability to put your soul out in the open for people to see through that book. The best written books in modern times, in ancient times, in all times, happened when the author was able to communicate through his soul or her soul to the soul of the reader, and the book is the bridge in between those two things. And many writers get too much in their heads. They're either trying to imitate the latest Harry Potter or whatever the latest sensation is, or be the next James Patterson or Stephen King or Jodi Picoult, and they're missing the most important part, that soul connection, which I believe constitutes great literature. If you're wondering about how to have that soul-to-soul connection through your writing, it's not as mysterious as you might think. It's really all about not letting your mind get in the way, not letting too much logistics and too much logic and too much left brain thinking get in the way. Left brain, like I said, it's very important to writing a good book, but ultimately the best writing is going to come from your soul. And for starting a book, I believe there's no better way than to have 3 days of flow writing where you're not being interrupted, you don't have anything else going on. And I've talked to many writers about this over the years. I've heard so many times, oh, it's too difficult, I can't take time off work, I can't do a 3-day weekend. You probably can take a day off work. If you cannot ever take 1 day off work, you might be working the wrong job. I'm just saying, that's a whole other subject. But taking those 3 days and doing nothing else but focusing on that time, I believe is golden. I've written 12 books that way, and it's been great, and I've had a lot of doubts every time I've gone into that process. And yes, it's a total non-outline, non-plan, let your soul speak through you and see what happens. And I have several times done that where I was going in one direction and I came back in another direction, and I was very surprised with where I wound up. That's how I wrote Different. I wrote Different in 3 days, the first draft I'm talking about. because there's a lot more to it than that. I wrote the first draft, A Different in 3 Days. A Different won 12 literary awards, including the IBPA Ben Franklin Award, second place, the EVVY Awards, the Colorado Independent Publisher Awards, first place, general fiction. It did really well, and I just want to say that it's not the only way, but I do believe it is the best way. Yeah, you can start with an outline, and I've had mentors like Robert McKee. He's a famous screenwriter trainer, and he told me, he says, yeah, you got to outline for 3 months before you start writing. That's kind of the opposite extreme. What I'm suggesting is, if you do that first draft in 3 days, it will really streamline your process. It'll make things a lot more fun for you. It will make your book higher quality. And that's a bold claim, I know, but it really does work. And then once you've done that, then you can start working on the second draft. That might take longer. You prepared for editing and so on. That's a longer process, but it's very encouraging to get your first draft done. And I'm talking about whether you write fiction, how-to nonfiction, memoir, whatever it is you're writing, doing it in flow will make a lot of difference. And it's not just like, okay, now I'm going to write, but getting yourself in a very receptive state. This is something Rachel, Jane, and I really believe in, and it's something that we teach and we facilitate. So we do offer the Inspired Writer program that includes a 4-day, it's a 4-day writing retreat. We really do support you. We help you a lot. If you are at all interested, there's a link in the description below. Click on that. We'll send you an email that will have description of what that program is all about, what it costs, and I believe you will get a lot out of it. Whether you do our program with us or not as your mentors, I highly recommend this 3-day method of being in flow, getting yourself in that state where you can receive the download of your book and write that soul-to-soul book that will make a difference in other people's lives. This has been Dada Groover with the Inspired Writer YouTube channel, and thank you so much for being with me here today. And feel free to check out some of my other videos. I would be very happy if you subscribe. If you don't, I'll get over it eventually. Thank you so much.